Hello there. Thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 17th day of September 2025. This is JKLive. My name is Sam Gituku, sitting in for Jeff and Ayub, and we'll be linking with Ayub later on, who is on an international mission. I'll be telling you where. But this evening we'll be speaking to a panel of Nelson Havi, who is the former president of the Law Society of Kenya. Sheila Olang is the development economist, and Gabriel Mudhuma is the deputy government spokesperson. We'll be talking about all manner of issues concerning the nation, from the progress made by President Ruto in his 3 years of leadership and what happens after the 3 years. We'll be talking about matters of education, matters of security, matters of rule of law and governance, and so much more. You do not want to miss that conversation later on the bench. But like I told you, Ayub Abdikadir is in Haiti. He's there to monitor the security mission where Kenya is leading, and we'll be talking to him to talk to us about the situation on the ground and, of course, what we should be expecting at a time that time is running out, but also what are the concerns about financing and the place of the Kenyan police officers in Haiti. That's later on JKL, but here are the top stories tonight.
She's run away with it. 8:51, phenomenal from Faith Cherotich.
Golden glory for Kenya. Faith Cherotich shatters championship record to clinch 3,000 meters steeplechase gold in a blazing 8:51.59 run. No pay, no lectures. Lecturers in public universities down tools, paralyzing learning nationwide, demanding better pay.
We have found that more than 50,000 students so far were not there before.
Non-existent learners at a cost. Education Ministry verification uncovers 50,000 ghost students as audit hits halfway mark.
And we sought, of course, a meeting with the Treasury, and we raised the matter of the additional aid. And they assured us that they'll be giving us funding for those ones as well.
Cash crunch threat. IBC warns that aid by elections stand at risk over a funding shortfall. And before we get to the news, there is Ayub Abdikadir. Like I told you, he's in Port-au-Prince, where he's been monitoring the mission, the Kenyan mission there, where Kenya is the one that is leading an international mission to ensure that there is stability in that country. We'll be speaking to him later on during the broadcast. But first in the news, our sign language interpreter is Yula Nzale. Now, rising athletics star Faith Cherotich beat a field of accomplished opponents to win the 3,000-meter steeplechase world championship in Tokyo, Japan. Cherotich brought home Kenya's 4th gold medal at the championships, ensuring that the national flag keeps flying high at the global event. Kenya remains second on the medal standings with 4 gold. Emily Chebet reports.
What a final this is going to be, Hannah. The top 6 in the world are all here.
21-year-old Faith Cherotich stunned reigning champion Winfred Yavi of Bahrain, storming to victory with a new course record in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. Just the day after Faith Kipyegon's golden run,
veering across to her right-hand side when she clears the barriers,
Cherotich made history in Tokyo, Japan, storming to her first ever world championship. Kenyan-born Olympic champion Winfred Yavi of Bahrain was in the lead, having taken over from Uganda's Peruth Chemutai. Close on her heels, Kenya's Faith Cherotich followed, keeping the chase alive. Towards the end of the race,
this is, Hannah, and that time Chemutai has gone down.
Chemutai stumbled, leaving the battle between Yavi and Cherotich.
Winfred Yavi, the favourite coming into this race.
As the bell rang for the final lap, Cherotich surged,
into this barrier, the water jump techniques,
getting past the Kenyan-born Bahrain at the second last hurdle and making a fast charge for the finishing line.
Faith Cherotich of Kenya, the youngest ever medalist in the World Championship steeplechase in Budapest, is going to be the winner here in Tokyo. She's run away with it.
Which opened a considerable gap between her and the second-placed Yavi. She clocked 8 minutes 51.59 seconds, a championship record.
I'm so happy. It's my first time to be a world champion. Last time I was a bronze medalist in the world championship, and it's my second world championship. And I'm so happy I've been progress good. My progress has been good since I joined senior category.
Her victory took Kenya's gold medal tally to 4, with a silver and 2 bronze, taking the haul so far to 7 medals.
I knew the race was not to be easy because there was a world champion there, also an Olympic champion. And I tell myself, if I can be, so no matter the best, no matter the people we are racing together, I have to fight.
World champion from 19, silver in this stadium.
That second bronze medal came courtesy of Reynold Cheruiyot, who placed 3rd in the men's 1500 meters.
Chariot on the inside.
The race was won by Isaac Nada of Portugal, with Jake Whitman of Great Britain taking the silver medal.
Sikuwa na expect that race to be slow. I expected to be fast, but I really thank God. The base was too slow, so I stay in the middle until the last 200. Nikaweza ku sprint the last 200 meters. So nashukuru Mungu, nimekuja position 3.
Title with a 90-meter throw a decade ago.
Thursday, javelin thrower Julius Yego will compete in the final as he chases more medals after qualifying today with a throw of 85.96 meters in the semi-finals.
Races have a supreme reign of form. Perez Chepchirchir in the marathon. Beatrice
Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
Yegon in the 1500 last night, and now...
Congratulations to Faith as she becomes a world champion in that 3,000-meter steeplechase. To another story, learning in public universities has ground to a halt as lecturers and other staff down their tools over non-payment of arrears accrued from 2 collective bargaining agreements from 2017 to 2025. The lecturers say the government has failed to pay them 10.6 billion shillings from 2 CBA cycles. The strike begins despite the government's release of some 2.5 billion shillings as part of the settlement of those dues. Brenda Wanga reports.
Mid-morning at the University of Nairobi, and the sound of protests permeates the air. Lecturers and other university staff have traded their chalkboards for the open spaces and the silence of the lecture rooms for the din of a strike that is happening currently in other public universities across Kenya. For the second time in as many years, disgruntled lecturers are withdrawing their services over what they term as insincerity on the part of government in implementing negotiated and registered collective bargaining agreements.
We need our CBA arrears paid in total. For those 2 CBAs, 7.9 billion for the 2017-2021 CBA. 2.73 billion for the 2021-2025 CBA. If that money is not paid, hawa wafanyikazi hawarudi wapi? Hawarudi.
The lecturers are also taking issue with the government's failure to come to the table to negotiate a new CBA that was to take effect from mid this year and run until 2029. The lecturers say they presented their proposals to government last year but have not gotten a reply since.
2025-2029 CBA is to cater for quality education in public universities. Yes. There is exponential growth in student population in public universities. But the recruitment of lecturers is not commensurate with the exponential growth of students in public universities. Yes. Therefore, students are being taught by part-timers. These part-timers hold marks because universities don't pay them. Yes. And this makes students fail to graduate.
The strike got underway despite the government's last-minute attempt to forestall it by announcing that it had released some 2.5 billion shillings as part of the arrears owed to the university staff, an offer that has been met with skepticism by the striking lecturers.
Have you seen any money? No. Have you seen any money? No. There is no money which has arrived here. So no one should start waving for us letters. No one eats any letter. We only eat what?
Sisi kama wafanyikazi wa vyuo vikuu tuko na shida mingi. Wenzangu hapa wanalia hawajawahi pata promotion for quite some time, for more than 10 years.
The lecturers now say although the strike will undoubtedly interfere with the semester's calendar, they will not relent until the government pays them what it owes. Students in public universities also wading into this fight that once again threatens continuity in their learning. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Now, the Minister of Education is reporting that the more than 800 million shillings has been going to non-existent students, in number 50,000 of them, each receiving up to 16,000 shillings each year. Basic Education Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok says an ongoing audit has exposed inflated enrollment figures in secondary schools, pointing to a multi-billion shillings scam. Melita Oletenges reports.
A sweeping audit of secondary schools has lifted the lid on a shocking scandal. Government funds meant for real learners have been diverted to ghost students.
This is serious. This is very serious.
Appearing before the National Assembly Education Committee, Basic Education PS Julius Bitok revealed that audits in 17,000 out of 32,000 schools uncovered tens of thousands of fake students receiving capitation.
We have found that more than 50,000 students so far were not there before. So about 50,000 so far, and we're in the middle of the process, almost 50,000. So you can be sure we shall unearth many other things.
The probe has linked some school principals to the fraud, with allegations they manipulated data to receive more money. MPs are now calling for government officials involved in fund disbursement to be held accountable. At the heart of the scandal lies a bigger question: why entire ghost schools created to loot funds?
In the schools, verification of schools, have you found where capitation has gone to non-existent school up to now?
We can't confidently say there's a ghost school. We can't say that.
Thank you.
But we can say the numbers have gone down, but in the next 1 week or so, we should have a very clear position if there were schools that are non-existent.
The revelations point to billions of shillings lost, prompting MPs to question the oversight roles of senior education officials.
If 50,000 schools, if 50,000 students, you have unearthed a discrepancy, what is the cost? What was the director of secondary education doing? What was the director of primary school education doing? And what was your capitating officer, who is next to you, the accountant, doing? Somebody has to pay for this money.
Meanwhile, concerns are also being raised about unfair distribution of infrastructure funds, with some schools receiving huge sums while others remain neglected.
You go to schools like a school in Narok. You find children studying in Lenana High School. The children are doing their exams, they are studying outside, sitting in the sun, and yet there's a school in Kenya where 50 million is given when there's other schools that children are studying outside.
Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Now, 8 pending by-elections slated for November 27 this year are facing uncertainty after the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission revealed that it does not have a budget to hold them. Speaking when he appeared before the National Assembly Public Accounts Committee, IEBC Chairperson Erastus Ethekon told the committee that the commission will spend 1 billion shillings to prepare for the by-elections. Emmanuel Toh reports.
Paragraph 1992.
It was his first appearance before a parliamentary committee since he took over the mantle as the chairperson of IEBC. Erastus Ethekon disclosing serious funding gaps in preparations for the November 27th by-elections, which could put 8 by-elections at risk.
The 16 had been provided for. And we sought, of course, a meeting with the Treasury, and we raised the matter of the additional 8. So we are working with them. There's a bit of back and forth. I hope they will unlock that very quickly because the timelines are sensitive.
The commission also revealing that the by-election will cost the taxpayer a whopping 1 billion shillings to conduct.
We have a total of 24 by-elections, and the total budget for that by-election, those 16 by-elections, 788 million. For the 8 remaining ones that have not been funded, amounts to 258 million. So in terms of total cost, we are looking at 1,046 million for the purpose of by-elections.
IBC is also targeting to onboard some 4.4 million Gen Zs and youthful voters in 2027 in a tally that will push the voter register to about 29 million voters from the 22.5 million in the 2022 general election.
We are targeting about 6.3 million new voters, 70% of whom will be young people.
Ethicon, however, fell short of postponing the boundaries delimitation exercise, citing technical challenges in the preparations.
I know the time has lapsed, but it will be very interesting and very important to hear whether that is going to happen before elections or after or never.
We also have to know, as members of parliament, where you feel like you need more help or more boost.
We can resolve the legality, but then the practicality, for example, we will require also a budget.
The Commission's headquarters at Anniversary Towers was also a beehive of activities Wednesday as independent candidates rushed to submit names and symbols ahead of the November by-elections.
Cap had not been set.
It is now a race against time for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to ensure it has the requisite requirements in terms of money and personnel to prepare a free, fair and credible by-election, which is only in 2 months away. Emmanuel Tor, Citizen TV, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
The Control of Budget has raised the red flag over thousands of unauthorized commercial bank accounts run by county governments. In her full-year report for the financial year 2024-2025, Dr. Margaret Nyakango warns that counties are required to seek approval and register such accounts with her office before opening them. So far, over 5,000 unauthorized accounts have been flagged, posing a serious risk of financial mismanagement, as Stephen Leto now reports.
The Controller of Budget in her latest report released Wednesday has flagged counties for operating hundreds of commercial bank accounts without authorization. According to Margaret Nyakango, as of June 30th, 2025, county governments were running 5,476 accounts with commercial banks. She noted that county treasuries have failed to submit authorization letters for these accounts to her office, as required by the Public Finance Management Act. The report reveals Homa Bay County is operating 558 bank accounts, Kitui County 350 bank accounts, while Bungoma and Nakuru each have more than 300 bank accounts, some of which the Controller of Budget says are unauthorized. Baringo, Kwale, Machakos and Embu counties each operate more than 200 bank accounts, a figure now raising serious questions. On the other hand, Nandi County has only 10 such accounts, Kisii 14 bank accounts, Siaya 15, Tharakanithi 16 and Muranga 20 bank accounts, all listed in the Controller of Budget report. The Controller of Budget warns that the proliferation of multiple bank accounts by counties is leaving public funds vulnerable to theft and mismanagement. The 2024-2025 full-year report lists Governors Stephen Sang of Nandi, George Natebea of Trans Nzoia, Patrick Olen Tutu of Narok and Isaac Mutuma of Meru as having the highest absorption of development funds. Kisii Governor Simba Arati topped the ONSO's revenue collection targets alongside Tana River, Wajir and Kirinyaga. The report also shows that Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja is leading with 13.1 billion shillings collected, a 66% attainment of the target, followed by Narok's Patrick Olen Tutu with 5.7 billion shillings. Mombasa and Kiambu round off the top collectors. Meanwhile, Kajiado, Machakos, Isiolo and Taita Taveta underperformed in their ONSO's revenue collection. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Right, and it's now time that I want us to cross over to Haiti, where it's been over a year since Kenya took the lead in the multinational security support mission in Haiti, a UN-approved operation backed by several countries. The mission has scored major gains, including the liberation of key government installations once held by gangs who control large swaths of the capital, Port-au-Prince. From Port-au-Prince, we now join Ayub Abdikadir, who is live on location. Apologies for the heat. It's about 2:18 p.m. there. What can you tell us about the situation where you are?
Sam, good afternoon from the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. Life here is striking, as you have mentioned, and where we are at the moment is the equivalence of Vigilance House in Nairobi, where it was taken over from the gangs who are led by Jimmy Cherizier, also known as Barbecue. And he leads a gang of coalition that is known as Vive Ensemble here in the French dialect, which means living together. And this morning, in the company of the Kenyan police contingent, we were able to scan through the streets of the capital, Port-au-Prince, including the key installations that they have taken over from the gangs here in Haiti. And that includes where we are at the moment, Sam, doing this live link, which was an impossibility before the Kenyan taken over the national police force. Managed to the transit line between the people of Haiti and also the other islands that make up this island nation here in the Western Hemisphere or the Caribbean continent. Ideally, it's a case of also the successes the Kenyan police force and the mission they lead of the MSS have managed to gain since their first deployment, the first batch touching down here in June last year in 2024, and in October that was renewed by the United Nations. But also a mission that has its fair share of problems, including the underfunding that the United Nations has decried. At the moment, there is only available 8% of the required $908 million of the humanitarian kitty to forestall the catastrophe on the brink for the people in Haiti. That includes the internally displaced persons, the affected government installations, including courts of law and general service delivery for the people, Sam, here. And that is what we have been able to establish in our assessment this morning, Sam.
And Ayub, as you talk about the situation on the ground, how are the Kenyan police officers coping? We see some of them behind you, but how have they been?
Well, from the general observation, and we managed to speak to the spokesperson of the mission, Mr. Jack Ombaka, who had given us the scorecard in terms of their general well-being and the welfare state. And I can tell from here in Port-au-Prince that the Kenyan police contingent here is the lifeline of the entire mission, has the highest number of what was entirely contributed as the police mission to Haiti, and also playing a key role here in this entire three-story building. There are only 2 members of the Haitian police service members, and entirely the other contingent are from the Kenyan police mission, which gives us an assessment of then the crucial role they play in the stabilization of this country. And driving through the streets, you could see the effect of the civil strife and ideally what was then a political crisis that had fomented, or rather bred economic crisis for the people. Entire neighborhoods equivalent to Kilimani, where our offices are, or in Hurlingham, that have been deserted, no people, roads that have been blocked by the gangs and the coalition, as they are known here, Vive Ensemble. That clearly tells you the picture of how then this UN-approved mission, which is led by Kenya, though the challenges of funding continues with regards to the constraints from the international community, as Antonio Guterres had pointed out, is still there playing a crucial role in moving forward this mission in the stability of this Caribbean country.
And finally, for now, Ayub, so we know the mission, it was extended up to until 2nd of October, which is in a few weeks. What have you heard? What are authorities there saying about the future of this particular mission, and even what Kenyans should be preparing to do?
Well, Sam, the mission was supposed to have started in October 2023, but because of the delays of the support in terms of military equipment and the funding required, since it was a UN kitty, it had to start in June 2024, and that was renewed last year in October. And the expectation, according to the spokesperson, is that the UN will extend the stay of the Kenyan mission that's led by Kenya here, the mission, when we reach the 2nd of October this year, given the importance that Kenya has played here in the stabilization of Haiti. And ideally then this also points some to the political crisis here and the inability, the giving up on the which gives you a sense of how the UN then may deem fit the extension of the Kenyan mission here in Haiti. And the political crisis isn't over here, Sam. The striking thing is that this country has had no parliament since October 2023, given the political crisis in the aftermath of the assassination of President Jovenel Moise, and subsequent prime ministers have been dismissed willy-nilly by the Presidential Transition Council, which is a 9-member body that has no authority, unelected, drives no power from any entity, but practices that power of the presidency. Since there is no parliament, you can scan the degree of political crisis and instability in this country, and the people, you could tell it from the streets and how they are also propping up their lives, given the crucial role the Kenyan mission is playing here in terms of the stability and the restoration of sanity. And you could tell how schools have been affected. Courtrooms are no longer functional. Gas stations or petrol stations, you could say, have been turned into small market points for mothers to sell vegetables and stuff. The market's essence generally is getting back to life, but the UN here is going to be crucial upon an extension that will be much aftersought. And what's coming up at the General Assembly on the 80th birthday of the United Nations, North here in New York in the United States of America, this will be subject matter for deliberation, Sam. And that is the crucial role that we will be awaiting for, and what the Kenyan mission here is all about.
Right. Thank you so much, Ayub. And of course, we'll be waiting for the General Assembly of the UN at the high-level week as it approaches from 22nd of September, which is next week. We'll be waiting to see if there will be an extension. Thank you, Ayub, for that. Now, to another story. Senior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen says Kenya is counting on full cooperation from UK authorities in the extradition of a British national wanted for the brutal 2012 murder of Agnes Wanjiru in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. But lawyers caution the process could drag on for years, hinging on legal hurdles and the goodwill between Kenya and the United Kingdom. Seth Olale has the latest on the Agnes Wanjiru murder case.
The decade-long unresolved murder of Agnes Wanjiru has now taken a diplomatic turn, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs initiating extradition proceedings against a British suspect who was recently slapped with a warrant of arrest for the heinous crime committed 13 years ago.
The Ministry of Interior has done its part, but in terms of extradition, it's an important process, but let's leave it to Foreign Affairs.
Speaking at the Jukwaa Usalama Security Assessment Baraza in Siaya County, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said Kenya's criminal justice system expects full cooperation from UK authorities to facilitate the extradition of the murder suspect to face justice.
And I don't think there is we will struggle to find the right cooperation. Britain and Kenya have, of course, very long historical relations, as it's already known.
However, lawyers caution that the extradition case involving the British murder suspect could drag on for years or even risk collapsing altogether.
It will be taken to the Honourable Attorney General of UK. They will study the warrant, find whether the warrant is worthy having been issued, whether there is sufficient evidence for them to initiate proceedings there, and or to ask for warrant of arrest for this man who is a suspect to be arrested. It's a long process. It's a process which can take ages.
If extradited to face murder charges over Agnes Wanjiru's killing, the Briton would become the first foreign serviceman to be tried on Kenyan soil.
What happened to Agnes Wanjiru should never happen to anyone. And I'm really looking for a day when that justice can be delivered. This was brutal murder.
On Tuesday, High Court Judge Alexander Muteti granted the ODPP a warrant of arrest against the British national wanted over the 2012 murder of Agnes Wanjiru in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
And with that story by Seth Olale, we're taking a short break here on JKLive. When we come back, we'll be speaking to the bench. They will be here. Nelson Havi is the former president of the Law Society of Kenya. Sheila Olang is a development economist. And Gabriel Muduma is deputy government spokesperson, talking about the state of the nation, different issues concerning what has been happening the past 3 years under the leadership of President William Ruto. Stay tuned for that. We'll be back in a moment.
Sio malumbano ya kisiasa, sio mambo ya mirengo. Ya muhimu ni vile tutabadilisha Kenya.
Coming up, President William Ruto tears into his critics, accusing them of lacking ideas and derailing development.
Welcome back. Before we get to the bench, President William Ruto has hit back at his critics, accusing them of lacking fresh ideas and offering no meaningful solutions for the country. Speaking on the second day of his tour of the coast region, the president urged Kenyans to ignore leaders he described as divisive and unproductive. He expressed disappointment that some political figures continue to undermine the government's development agenda, choosing instead to focus on division. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui has the details.
For the second day, President William Ruto was in the coastal city of Mombasa, where he launched several development projects as part of his ongoing tour of the coast region. Among the initiatives unveiled was the commissioning of a commuter railway linking Mombasa's central business district to the standard gauge railway SGR, the rehabilitation of the Jomvu-Mariakani Road, and the issuance of more than 800 title deeds to local residents.
Sasa itawezekana kwa wana Mombasa, wafanyabiashara, watu wa hapa pamoja na watalii waweze kufika kwa terminus ya SGR na wafike hapa Mombasa mainland bila ya kuangaishwa na mambo ya traffic.
Throughout his tour, the president did not hold back in criticizing his political opponents, accusing them of engaging in empty rhetoric instead of offering real solutions to the country's pressing challenges.
Tumekubaliana ya kwamba siasa ya ukabila na chuki na migawanyiko haina nafasi tena katika serikali na katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Umesaidia taifa la Kenya kuondoa siasa mbovu ya ukabila, utengano.
The president pledging to outperform his critics through tangible service delivery.
This country has no time for people without an agenda, without a program, without what destiny we want for our nation. We want leaders. We must compete on ideas. We must compete on a vision. We must compete on transforming the nation.
Ruto defended his administration's record, stating that Kenya has made notable strides under his leadership. He cited the coast region as a major beneficiary, highlighting the expansion of the Mombasa port, ongoing infrastructure upgrades, and efforts to integrate the old railway system with the SGR to ease the transportation and boost the tourism.
Hii daraja imekwama siku nyingi. Niliwaambia munipatie nafasi kidogo nirekebishe uchumi. Sasa uchumi nimerekebisha. Sasa mambo iko sawa.
The president urging Kenyans to reject leaders who, in his words, are not interested in the country's development. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The Independent Policing Oversight Authority has launched a 13.1 billion shilling 5-year strategic plan to strengthen police accountability. But with only 21% funding and presence in just 9 regions out of 3,000 police facilities, IPOA admits its success will hinge on adequate resources amid growing demands for justice over police brutality. Gatete Njoroge reports.
In a bid to strengthen accountability among police officers, IPOA has unveiled its third 5-year strategic plan, a plan that seeks to enhance police accountability, rebuild public trust, and boost confidence in both IPOA and the National Police Service. But IPOA, which has faced mounting pressure over rising cases of police brutality, warns that the plan's success hinges on adequate funding. At present, the authority operates with only 289 staff out of an approved 1,377, a mere 21% of the required workforce, tasked with overseeing more than 130,000 police officers nationwide.
We have 77 investigators against a need of 400 investigators. And that's where the core of the public complaints are, that we take too long to investigate complaints and prosecute any complaints arising out of those investigations.
Hassan says other challenges in resolving public complaints include the lack of cooperation from the National Police Service and overlapping mandates between IPOA and NPS, issues they plan to address with stakeholders.
So it's important for the police command to embrace transparency and accountability and to accept civilian oversight.
We will continue to treat IPOA's findings and recommendations with the seriousness that they would deserve, ensuring that where disciplinary action is recommended, it is undertaken promptly, fairly, and transparently.
IPOA, which aims to successfully prosecute all valid complaints, says that out of more than 700 case files submitted to the DPP over the years, only about 40 police officers have been convicted. Chief Justice Martha Koome, who hailed IPOA as a key player in the administration of justice, has called for increased funding to strengthen its mandate.
When IPOA is underfunded, it is the Kenyan people who are denied their constitutional right to seek accountability in policing.
During the event, police were encouraged to embrace technology in dealing with graft. With IPOA launching its strategic plan at a time when there have been increased cases of police brutality, the authority has given an assurance that they will ensure police are accountable and that victims of police excesses get justice. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, KICC, Nairobi.
All right, and with that story by Gatete Njoroge, I want to introduce the bench who are already here. I will start with the lady, Sheila Olang, who is the development economist. Good evening.
Good evening, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you here. Gabriel Muthuma is the deputy government spokesperson. Good evening.
Good evening, Sam. Nice to see you again.
Oh, yes, in a very short time. And
barely a few days ago.
Is the former president of the Law Society of Kenya. Good evening.
Good evening, Sam.
Let's start from the report by Gatete there, because he's saying that there's a 5-year strategic plan for IPOA. They're looking at up to 13 billion shillings for them to be in a position to do the work they do. But they're also really crippled because they just have about 21% of the staffing they require. When you look at that, and at a time that you're also being told that from now on, you can actually go ahead and sue the government for compensation even before matters of investigation are completed. How does that look at a time that IPOA has really struggled over a couple of years?
IPOA was a good idea as structured. And at the beginning, it seemed to work. Towards the recent past, its inability to perform its oversight role over the police has become manifest. And I have considerable doubt as to whether the issue is one of financial capacity. I think to a large extent, the police command has refused civilian oversight. We need something more than just injection of finance into IPOA. I believe my friend Isaac has to see what his predecessors have done and assert his authority to ensure that the role of IPOA is felt and that the excesses of the police are countermanded. That would be the biggest gift he'll ever give to Kenyans insofar as the intention of IPOA under the Constitution was designed.
Gabriel, your thoughts, because we've had several conversations, whether it's among the security organs or it's Kenyans themselves, but we still don't get to that point where you feel the impact of having IPOA. It's about 13 years now?
Well, yeah, and some allow me to report that I was actually in that function. And first of all, it was really amazing to see all those institutions coming together and looking for a structured way to work things out. Allow me not to agree a lot with my good friend, and I was just telling him a while ago that it's an honor actually to be sitting across or next to him. The last time we did this was been years ago. I mean, to be in one panel to discuss things. And when I hear you people calling him the former LSK president, which he is, you probably might not know he's heading for the coveted seat of the presidency. 2024, he launched his campaign. You know, so I'm congratulating.
Is it? I haven't.
Yeah. Oh, you're seated with a very serious person.
If this is coming from State House, then there could be credible merit.
No, he did. In fact, I wanted to ask him what his mantra was. He's been a close friend.
No, I've seen him. He's
been a close friend, and we can never forget. He was among the people. He was among the people who really did our UDA manifesto. He was among, So he's a very close friend. So when I disagree with him, as from time to time it will happen, it's always respectful. So yes, the funding is critical, and I was glad to hear Honorable Kaluma talk about it. But he promised they are going to do the very best to ensure that IPOA is well funded. And so Sam, allow us to, let's give them the benefit of doubt. There are so many things that will be needing, there's so many things that will need to be moving, so many things that will need to be pulled. But at the end of the day, what are we looking to achieve as Kenyans? How can we support IPOA? The institutions that are mandated by the Constitution to do so. How do we support them? Whether you're looking at it from the executive, the legislature, and as the common mwananchi, how do we support IPOA?
Did you just include yourself in the list of common mwananchi?
Oh yes, I'm a commoner.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean common mwananchi. Are we not common mwananchis?
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, I'm a common mwananchi.
You're claiming the title.
I'm common mwananchi, just like, well, I can't count him. I can't
Surely.
count. You, I think me and you are common mwananchis.
You're a deputy government spokesperson. You're not common mwananchi.
It's a good title. It's a good title. But at the end of the day, we are common mwananchis.
All right.
Good citizens of this great nation.
That's all right, Gabriel. Sheila, when you look at those concerns, because we wouldn't need IPOA if police are not involved in excessive use of power or abuse of power, if you like. And the funding has been a question. I think in the previous financial year, they needed 2.2 billion shillings. They only allowed about 1.3 billion shillings. So already you can see the challenge there. Do you feel a commitment to ensuring IPOA works, but more importantly, there's no excessive use of power from the police and the state?
I think absolutely. Maybe I can help Gabriel out here as a common mwananchi who was on the streets last year receiving...
Oh, you were?
Yes, I was, Gabriel, as the common mwananchi who on the streets last year receiving tear gas and everything in between from the police and really experiencing that concept of police brutality. I can tell you that we need a holistic approach. We need a holistic approach. So if we really narrow it down to simply funding, then I think we're going to belittle. We're going to end up with a lot of funding, but still not having effect. And I say this because I'll give a practical example. When we had the issue of Albert Ojwang, I still remember vividly that press conference where you had, the suspects, exactly, who was the people who were involved standing there. And there's that picture of IPOA standing right there. I mean, we're in a country where we have a huge trust deficit, as it is, when it comes to police. So to add insult to injury by having that view that we had there, that was not a question of funding. That was a question of you are supposed to be the one helping us. You're supposed to be the one, coming in and trying to save the day. So what happened in that instance? Why is it that we were seeing IPOA really standing there? That wasn't a question of funding. That was a question of, did we understand the mandate? Did we understand the job description? So I think we also have a lot of capacity building, a lot of sensitization, both on the public side to understand that IPOA is there and these are the functions and functionalities of IPOA. But at the same time, to also just ask the government not to please swallow these checks and balances. Right. Because I would understand why they would feel a bit intimidated in terms of processing. But police must allow civilian oversight. I think there's no question about it. Right.
No, this one I agree.
All right, just to be the devil's advocate, IPOA chair, Isaac Hassan, eventually explained, and he actually regretted and apologized for appearing in that press conference with the leadership of the police service, but he also said that that was not the intention, that he had intended to go and see what was happening at Central Police Station, but he was pulled by the IG to that press conference. Wakili, I wanted you to say something about the judgment of the Court of Appeal, that you don't have to wait until all those processes, because ideally, if you're injured or if your kin is killed, you complain to IPOA. IPOA investigates, hands over a file to the ODPP. DPP agrees with IPOA or not. When they agree, you take the matter to court. Now, the Court of Appeal has said you don't have to wait until that process is complete for you to apply or petition the court for compensation. How does that help the Kenyan citizenry, but at the same time, what would be the difficulty at a time that the state continues to deny any offense?
This decision by the Court of Appeal comes at the most opportune time because it entrenches the right to life as stated in the Constitution. Because if the right to life is given under the Constitution and it's taken unlawfully by police excess, then the strictures that were there before, that you must get a conviction against the police officer first before you can pursue and remedy by way of damages, were a hindrance. They were fatal to this right. And the Court of Appeal based it on a common law tort, wrongful death, which I've spoken about before. If one's life has been taken away wrongfully, then the beneficiaries of the estate of the person who has died have a right to go to court and sue. Before you could sue by way of a plaint, a civil claim. But the Constitution has made it quite clear. All you need to do is to file a constitutional petition, identify the person who has been killed, indicate to what extent the government or governmental agencies or the police were involved, and you'll be compensated. And that is what has to be done. Because you need to contradistinct that with what has now been stopped by the court, the compensation panel. Because for there to be payment of damages, liability has to be established. And what better way to establish liability than the one provided for in the Constitution? Right. So that going forward, it is now clear that to the extent that a life has been lost, just file a constitutional petition. You ought not to be slowed down by these other formalities.
Okay, all right. And we're waiting to see how that plays out, especially when it comes to all the persons affected. The KNCHR, I think in total talks about 120 killed between the years 2024 and 2025. We're taking a short break here on JKLive. When we come back, we have some more stories. But the bench will stay here because we have so much to talk about, all the way from Ruto at 3, the achievements, the misses, the hits themselves, and also where we are headed after the 3 years, after the break. President Ruto commissions Mombasa commuter rail service at the new Mombasa railway station. The management of St. Teresa Maternity and Nursing Home has denied allegations of negligence in the death of a woman who died after having delivered a baby through cesarean section at the facility. St. Teresa Maternity and Nursing Home said medics tried their best to save Phyllis Wanjiru's life. Wanjiru was referred to the Kenyatta National Hospital after developing complications as a result of the surgery she had undergone at the local facility. She died in the KNH intensive care unit, with her relatives now blaming St. Teresa Kikuyu Maternity Hospital.
The cesarean surgery was carried out very successfully. The lady started bleeding 6 hours later. She was blood group O negative, which is a very rare type of blood, and which necessitated her immediate transfer to Kenyatta National Hospital. Patients with placenta previa and multiple cesarean sections and severe postpartum bleeding are at a higher risk of developing DIC. We wish to clarify that there was no instance of medical negligence, that the staff of St. Teresa acted quickly and in accordance with professional standards. St. Teresa Hospital has already initiated a comprehensive review of this case to further strengthen emergency preparedness. We are fully committed to working closely with Kenyatta National Hospital and the patient's family to provide all necessary support, information, and follow-up. We extend our heartfelt support to the family during this difficult time.
Shabiki.com has unveiled a 100 shilling million super jackpot in a fun-filled launch event at the heart of Nairobi, outside the Kenya National Archives, with support from the Nairobi City County Government. The jackpot features 17 games. Whoever correctly predicts all 17 is said to walk away with a grand prize of 100 million shillings.
The colorful launch added more excitement for sports lovers, with bonus opportunities for those who get 13, 14, 15 and 16 predictions correct, plus a special bonus category for fans who fail to predict any match correctly.
Shabiki.com, sino watu tunasikiza community yetu, tunasikiza kitu fans wetu wanasema, and our players and our punters. We're all about giving out the best gaming experience. Saizi tumewalaunchia jackpot ya 100 million. Our bonuses start from 13, 14, 17. Watu wa zero pia msidhani tumewasahau. Zero pia unapata bonus yako safi.
The day was full of fun activities, including the Chota Coins Challenge, dance competitions, and the Pepeta Challenge, among others.
Nafanya hapa archives hapa kwa Shushain. Nimeona watu wa Shabiki wamekuja, wakatuambia tuwekelee bet, na nimewekelea nikapanga line. Saa hii nimeenda nimeingia kwa stage, nimepata coins. Nafurahia wamelaunch super jackpot ya 100 million. Inshallah hiyo ndio naikujia.
The grand launch cements Shabiki.com's position as a leading sports gaming platform in Kenya, promising even more thrilling and engaging experiences. Fans can join the action by downloading the Shabiki app on Play Store or visiting www.shabiki.com. Steve Shitera, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Evans Mtuol and Alex Chavulimo have each won a 2-night family vacation at the Salt Lake Safari Lodge in Savo, courtesy of View Travel. The two were among 375 Bolt drivers recognized for their outstanding performance over the past year as the company celebrated excellence across different driver categories. Caro Watieri, View Travel's head of sales and customer service, emphasized the importance of partnerships with transport companies, noting that they fuel Kenyans' dreams to explore and discover the country.
Ujamaa, we are Africans. We know what community is. You've been raised in communities. I've been raised in a community, and I value our boat community very, very much. Exuding professionalism, commitment, giving your best of the best to your riders every day. And we say thank you for that. Congratulations again.
For the third year in a row. And we are excited to be among you who are bringing the city on the run. And we appreciate you for bringing the hospitality and putting us on the go. So we really do appreciate you. And we are here not just to be troubles, but here to award you.
Business News, brought to you by Safaricom Business.
Tukitaka kugrow zaidi, we choose partners with solutions that get us there. You could also power your progress. Join Safaricom Business today. Power your progress at business.safaricom.co.ke.
President William Ruto has commissioned the Mombasa commuter rail service that links Miritini SGR terminus to Mombasa Central Business District. President Ruto says the 6 billion shilling commuter rail service will boost connectivity and increase Madaraka Express passenger numbers that stand at 2.6 million annually. The rail service, which will also have stops at Miritini, Changamwe West, Changamwe East, Mazeras and Mombasa CBD, is expected to transport up to 4,000 passengers daily. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki and Transport Cabinet Secretary Davis Churchill say the move will reduce cost of transport and that the government has set aside 2.1 billion shillings to compensate those affected by the project.
By strengthening rail here at the coast,
we are not only supporting urban mobility, but also reinforcing Kenya's role as a regional hub for trade, tourism, and logistics. This service, Your Excellency, will directly support port operation, reduce dependence on road transport, and reduce congestion.
Taxi 1000, matatu 400, lakini train ni shilingi 50.
Sasa itawezekana kwa wana Mombasa, wafanyabiashara, watu wa hapa pamoja na watalii waweze kufika kwa terminals ya SGR na wafike hapa Mombasa mainland bila ya kuangaishwa na mambo ya traffic.
The Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KenGen, has launched the second edition of its Sustainable Energy Conference, a three-day continental event aimed at addressing Africa's energy future. The conference brings together governments, financiers, innovators and industry leaders to discuss how to achieve energy security while preserving the environment. Kenya, already known as Africa's geothermal capital, is using this platform to highlight its advancements in renewable energy and to share its expertise with regional partners. This initiative comes as KenGen continues to advocate for cross-border energy projects as it strives to expand the country's energy capacity.
This side, we look at synergies to develop industries. Do we have the price of power then?
One of the things we are going to look for in this conference is really the innovative ways of financing. That 1,500 megawatts of additional renewable energy is going to cost us $4.3 billion. That is not little money, and therefore we are looking forward to those interested partners who would want to join us and perhaps form special purpose vehicles and utilize the PPP model to be able to finance these projects.
You do know very well that energy is a key source of economic development. I do usually say that there is no energy-rich country that is income poor. In other words, what are we saying? We are saying as we increase our energy consumption, as we increase our energy generation, as we increase our energy distribution, so do we improve the human capital development and improve the per capita income.
Equity Group has launched a 5-day high-level trade mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, roping in more than 50 delegates from 16 countries in a bid to tap into the resource-rich markets. The mission is part of the bank's broader strategy to facilitate cross-border trade, ease investor entry and connect businesses with viable opportunities across Africa. The mission has drawn participants from Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Poland, Germany, the United States and the DRC itself. For the first time, the delegation will extend its outreach to Kolwezi, one of the mining hubs located northwest of Lubumbashi, which serves as a key gateway to the mineral-rich Katanga region.
And to venture into new markets like what we have come for now in Lubumbashi. And particularly our interest is in the energy sector and as well in the health sector.
The whole idea behind these trade missions is to make sure that you walk out of these missions with business deals. We took about 60 businesses to Tanzania and Uganda in May. We have brought about 70 businesses here to DRC. And in November, from the 2nd to the 8th of November, we will be going to Rwanda and Kenya.
Kenya's Miraa subsector is getting a new lease of life. The Agriculture and Food Authority has rolled out a fresh initiative to revive cat farming, or Miraa as it's popularly known in Swahili, focusing on the country's main growing regions such as Meru and Embu. The plan seeks to boost production, improve handling practices and expand export markets. On Smart Farm this week, Citizen TV's Dennis Otieno tells us how farmers are adjusting to the changes and what it means for their incomes.
For decades, cat farming has been a lifeline in Meru and Embu counties. But poor handling, fluctuating prices and limited markets have slowed down growth. The Agriculture and Food Authority now wants to change this.
In the line with that growing of exports, Miraa is one of the value chains that we are growing exports because we want to increase the volume of exports that we are earning from agriculture And Mira is a key product in this, in terms of trying to promote and diversify the market and be able to reach further markets.
The authority is pushing for cleaner cut crops from the farm to the point of export. The goal is to enforce standards, introduce structured packaging, and open new global markets.
Can we diversify the markets where Mira is currently going? We want to look at markets like Djibouti, we want to look at markets like DRC, we want to look at Israel, various international markets that we've not been to, not just the traditional Somalia market.
Farmers are also being sensitized on hygiene during harvesting as part of a wider push for safe, clean crops that meet international standards.
Wale wanasuna Mira lazima wawe wasafi na wanasafisha mikono kabisa. Alafu ile kamba za kufunga naye lazima tuioshe kabisa, na ile mandisi ya kufunga naye tuhakikishe hakuna wadudu wako karibu na tunaweka vizuri kwa gunia.
Clean production is not only about meeting government regulations, but also about protecting their earnings.
We make sure we put it in a bag, a clean bag, where that it won't interfere with other dirty things. I want to request our government that watusaidie kutafuta international market, so that is where only our mugoka is consumed just locally and within the country. If we can get international market like Israel, Somalia, Egypt. Just the other day, Congo shown the interest in our product.
For others, expanding the Mira story beyond chewing is the real game changer.
Mira si kukula ikiwa bila inakula namna hii peke yake. Sababu serikali iko na nguvu na iko na wasomi kama nyinyi. Hii Mira imarise ikuwe kitu ingine, ikuwe hata ikuwe sweet gum, ikuwe hata ikuwe juice, itoe variety ingine, itoe yani ihakikishe ikuwe kitu ingine, itumike hata kama inawekwa kwa kasuba, inawekwa bile sonda inawekwa.
With regulation, better handling and access to new markets, farmers hope to turn a traditional cash crop into a modern global product, securing livelihoods for thousands of households. Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.
Business News, brought to you by Safaricom Business.
Tukitaka kugrow zaidi, we choose partners with solutions that get us there. You could also power your progress. Join Safaricom Business today. Power your progress at business.safaricom.co.ke.
In sports, Kenya wrapped up Day 5 of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo with a bronze medal in the men's 1500-meter courtesy of Reynold Cheriot. Reynold had to dig deep on the home stretch to clinch bronze in 3 minutes 34.25 seconds in a surprise race that saw Portugal's Isaac Nadal win gold in 3 minutes 34.10 seconds ahead of Brighton Jake Whitman, who took silver in 3 minutes 34.12 seconds. 2019 champion Timothy Cheriot of Kenya, who took charge of the race at the bell, faded to fourth in 3 minutes 34.50 seconds.
What a finish! Nader can't believe it, neither can Whiteman, but Nader pipped Jake Whiteman on the line.
The Football Kenya Federation has begun the process of making the National Super League a much better and competitive league from the 2025-2026 season. The Football Kenya Federation's Leagues and Competition Committee held a consultative meeting with the NSL clubs to chart the way forward and improve the second division league. The NSL has teams drawn from more cities and towns in the country more than the top-tier FKF Premier League.
In our deliberations, we've also agreed with the teams that we shall push the commencement of the league to the 27th of this month, to allow the teething issues, including a matter that is before the Sports Dispute Tribunal, where we expect a ruling on Friday, the 19th, so that we know it has an effect on the fixtures, so that we can implement those effects. We have agreed to push the kickoff start to the 27th.
FIA African Rally champion Karan Patel is back for the season closing Mkwawa Rally of Tanzania, headed for Morogoro over the weekend. Patel has been out of action ever since he crashed out of the Rwanda Mountain Gorilla event in early July. Karan has good memories of the Tanzania Rally, which he won in 2022, but it wasn't enough to win him the African title. He again won the rally in 2024 and in 2024 to seal the Africa Rally Championship crown.
We just go with the flow. We do our best and hope things fall into place.
All right, that's it for the news update on JKL, but the panel, the bench is still here. We'll be speaking to Nelson Harvey, former president of the Law Society of Kenya, Gabriel Muthuma, who says he's a commoner or a common citizen. He's the deputy spokesperson of government, and of course, Sheila Olang, who is also a development economist. We'll be back in a moment to talk about the latest in as far as management of the country has been going. What do you want to see in your country? We're back in a moment. On JKL tonight, a critical look at President Ruto's scorecard 3 years in. Has he delivered?